play a couple of times. Me and Tommy did it a couple of times. And there's something that we forgot to do every time we did it. We kept forgetting to pass the hat. Now tonight we're not going to forget to pass the hat. But we've got more than just the play to inspire you to give. The funds collected tonight will go to our youth mission trip to Guatemala. Our youth are going, they're not going on a vacation, they're not going down there to some theme park, they're going to one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in Guatemala where they will be helping to install water filtration systems, they'll be putting in concrete floors, they'll be passing out shoes, and they'll be sharing the love of Jesus Christ. They'll be spreading the gospel in Guatemala in a very real way. The money that we raise tonight will go to pay the cost of them getting there and their housing while they're there. Anything over and above that amount that we collect will go to the rest of the mission trip to help put in concrete floors in another house because, of course, parasites, ground-borne parasites, are the biggest cause of illness down there. And waterborne parasites are also a big cause. So shoes, concrete floors, water filtration, that does a world of good in Guatemala. And we are proud of our youth. They've been doing a lot of fundraising. They've been working very hard on this play. And it is a joy to see new talent pick up this material. It really is. We are grateful to all of you for being here. We will pass the plate while the children, while our young people provide a little bit of music at the end of the program. We will be serving a fellowship meal after the play, so please be ready for that. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen. Gospel. Simply had to be here to defend the honor of my boy Huck. See, Huck is like a favorite son. As real to me as I am to you. Even if Tom Sawyer did put more money in my purse. So I can't have these gospel slingers taking the good name of Huck Finn in vain. After all, there is another good book that you may plagiarize to your heart's content. So if my boy Huck is to be used to make some theological point, he must be free to make the opposing point as well. After all, man is like a coin, two sides, heads, tails. I don't know if it's genuine unless you see both sides. Good literate Americans, as I know you to be, I'm sure you've all read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. No doubt you've also read the notice at the first chapter beginning by the Chief of Ordnance. To wit, persons attempting to find a motive in this narrative will be prosecuted. Persons attempting to find a moral in it will be shot. Persons attempting to find a plot will be banished. Now I'll grant you the ground that is already yours to take. Huck had enough church in him to fear the fires of hell. Why, he even tried to get saved right there in the middle of the book. I'm certain you're familiar
But he thought the good Lord such a harsh taskmaster that he couldn't see clear how heaven might be much better. Let's look in on that moment of crisis, shall we? Well, let's see what old Huck was thinking at the point in the story where he had to choose between heaven or hell. He wanted to get saved. He wanted to give his life over to God, as he said. But he didn't know if he could, or even should do what good church folk were saying he should do on account of that runaway slave. You see, Huck had forgotten he was running away with somebody else's property. You know, Huck always thought, well, let's just let Huck speak for himself.
Yeah, old Tom Sawyer never always said he was going to steal off a slave, make a free man. Of course, he didn't call him a slave, and I didn't either, but turns out what we did call him weren't a fit describer for a man was just without some likeness to his covering. Weren't fit talk then, and it's a cuss to shame and bloodshed by now, so I hear. Slave with some back to him was a thing to have. It cost him near $800 back then. Of course, he weren't worth nothing to himself, but a white man could fetch a sack full of money with a slave what had some teeth. Good his left to him. Of course, Tom and me, we weren't thinking of selling him. It's not like we could get one to run off unwilling nohow. But ain't never been a slave that couldn't shoot free if he could see a way clear to do it. Me and Tom, we was abolitionists. We weren't no better than the next without the one that said it, but that's what we was. And we was too wet behind the ears to know it. Yeah, old Tom Sawyer always said he was going to steal one off free, not for traffic. But he weren't one to do what he said unless it was easy doings at the time. Now me, I didn't set out to steal a slave, but I did steal one free, and not for traffic. See, I was running from Hap. Everyone thought I was killed. Maybe it was that old slaughter pig I drug around the cabin. Anyways, old Jim, he took sight of that commotion and disappeared himself. Miss Watson's slave, he went off, he was lost, and I was lost, and the next thing you know, we found us and just sort of stayed lost. We snagged us a raft, floated just a little too far south on that river, but Tom Sawyer did come in handy when Jim got himself catched and headed for re-enslavement. Now me, I almost turned him over too, but not looking for any reward. See, I just felt bad about running off with old Miss Watson's property like that. She owned Jim. Sure as the government said it was so. Without all them church folks also saying he was hers by right. Just like the Bible says. You know, I tried to read that Bible once. Looking on all about Moses and bulrushers. These peoples, that's property in there too. Now I seen all the was, but I never seen any supposed to's tied to it. Well, I sat down one day, my feet's dangling in the water, and I gave my soul over to the Lord. I even wrote a note telling Miss Watson where to fetch old Jim. I felt all washed clean of my sin, my conscience considerably relieved to be doing right by Miss Watson. But then I got to thinking about our trip. About how Jim took watch and let me sleep, even though he'd been a long time sleeping, not sleeping himself. I got to thinking about how he cried for his children, his wife. He said he was going to steal back his children if he couldn't see a way clear to buy them. I know he could bleed and moan like any free man could, like any real person would. And he was a long sight more hospitable to me than any of what's calling themselves civilized. I wish I'd have listened in church when I was there. I wish I'd have known what the bulrushers said. Why darkness in a man's hide could make him as much property as a mule. But I never did see it. And I see there wasn't no comfort on this side, and none on the other side either. But I just couldn't do it. Miss Watson, she lost a lot of help, and I felt right bad about that. But that help to her was a real friend to me. I forgot he was property. And that was good forgetting. If I was to feel bad towards somebody, I'd as soon feel bad for Miss Watson than I'd feel bad for Jim this time. And some folks say it still wasn't right to feel for a slave over his master, but I know then and there that I got to decide forever betwixt two things, and I knowed it. There weren't no comfort on this side, no none on the other side neither. So I sort of steadied myself. myself, holding my breath. And I thought to myself, all right, I'll go to hell. And I tore that note right up. I pushed the whole thing out of my mind. And I didn't think no more about no more reforming. You know, I said I would take up wickedness again, because that was more in my line, being brought up to it, and the other weren't. For starters, I'd go back to work, steal Jim out of slavery. Because if I could think of anything worse, well, I'd do that too. As long as I was in, and in for good, I might as well go whole hog.
See the plain truth all right, but on matters of Scripture, his knowledge was gotten strictly second-hand. It's in the good book, they tell him, as if every incident therein was also stamped with God's approval. Given the standard, you might not wonder why brothers went into battle with each other over the issue of slavery. Suppose Cain has slain his brother Abel in every generation. So you'll forgive me if I choose for my boy Huck a higher standard than the random Scripture. I tempted him away from God using nothing more than plain old human decency. In Huck's world, helping a slave run against his master was against God's law, and everybody knew it. I'm more inclined to believe that everybody knew better, but they did selectively use the good book to get their way. So what happened to old Huck? Well, maybe he figured if church folk had it part wrong, they had it all wrong. Maybe he did go whole hog.
Samuel! Samuel, where is you, boy? If you don't want stripes on your backside, you best be bringing me that jug, boy. Well, I done told you not to come back here unless you got a jar or 2 jars from old Doc Cyrus. Don't make no difference. You ain't got no money either. The whole coot owed me 15 cents. I'm counting that bet. You telling your pack wants 40 rod this time. The last, that was half river water. Tell him I don't want no more of that 20 rod spit. Huh? What do you want? Yeah, I'm Huck, Finn, but what business is you on? I ain't done nothing to you, nor nobody else. You can't be here for stealing, because I ain't got no truck, except for this here jug, that there gun. And you ain't be fetching what little I got. Now get it. Wait, but who is this asking how I gets to be how I is? I just is this how I is, and that's ain't no more to it. Now you ain't got no business without pay or truck to pay for all your reckoning. Yeah, that was me that run that slave gym free. Wait, who are you? You that new gospel preacher? Because if in you is, I'll stand over you or any man that tells me I was hell's bound for the doing. Because if I was hell's bound, then I'll hell's bound do till I was hell's bound done. And I reckon that's a sight over the heaven you got. Singing all the time, some forever. Ain't got no hunting, got no drinking, ain't got no courting. Take that heaven if that's all there is to it, and just leave me and my boy Sam out of it. Yes, Sam's my boy. Mama got scarlet fever or bad water, or, well, I don't know what, because I ain't no doctor. Old Doc Cyrus ain't fit for doctoring a second-hand mule neither. Now, I will learn that boy not to fetch my 40 rod. Sammy! You know, you could have come here, preacher, when a body got scarlet fever, and you could have brought your God with you. No, I reckon I did go whole hog. Just didn't know God helped this sinning man with his wife. You know, I bet she could have fetched some 40 rod. Sammy! Now listen, I ain't got no change for your plate, and I ain't looking to spend no time in the pew. So you can just run on, preacher man, and take the good Lord with you. If you knowed him no ways. You know what? If you know the good Lord, why don't you tell him to tell which side on the battle that he's going to take before the shooting commences? If you know the good Lord, why don't you tell him to speak up before the shooting commences next time?
To Huck as well, if he would accept it. I don't know. Whether he finds any comfort in it now depends on you and your testimony. What did you tell him, preacher? Did he believe you?
Samuel? Sammy? Where are you, boy? Ah, there you are. Reading. Well, there ain't no better book to read. What? You want me to help? Well, your pap ain't the quickest for learning, but let's see what we can do. You go ahead and read, and I'll try and help you reckon what it means. Now, this part, Sammy, I'll call this part the good Lord's do's and don'ts. That means you ain't gonna have no other gods except for the Lord. That means you ain't gonna pray to no stump. That means you ain't gonna say God when you cuss. Don't forget Sunday, Sam. Now that one, that's mighty important. Mind your pap. That means don't kill nobody. Well, that one's a little complicated, Sammy. Sort of means get hitched, stay hitched. Well, that means don't steal nothing. Definitely don't fib on folks. And don't be hankering for a truck that ain't yourn to hanker. Oh, that's good, Samuel. You run along now. You make Pop strut and proud. See if you can't fetch us a squirrel or a snake or something for supper stew. Oh, excuse me. Wasn't expecting no visitors. Why, yes, I am a Huckleberry fan. Old Doc Cyrus, well, he's been dead almost about 6 years now. Mighty sorry to tell you this, but they say it was the whooping cough that killed him. Yep, he was just up there on the mountain, whooping it up, and just up and whooped his last whoop. Say, stranger, what's your kin to Cyrus? Well, I reckon I do hate that you came all this way with such terrible news. Of course, you're a customer, old Doc Cyrus. I don't mind telling you, you more likely got a case of 40 rot fever. Yeah, Doc Cyrus liked to take his own medicine, and it was right pleasant to sell a jug cheap. I used to drink it myself. Beg your pardon? Well, yeah, that was me. I did help that slave Jim get his freedom. Free, not for traffic. And I thank the Lord for the pleasure. Yes, I do take comfort in walking with the Lord. No, I didn't know he was there with us at the time. Well, I'll be honest, if I know it, I would have kicked him off that there raft. But he was there. How do I know? Because here I is. And Jim, he's a free man now, with his wife and his children. Yeah, the Lord was with us. I do take comfort in the Lord. Why? Well, just look around. I got a roof, got a nice little garden outside, and I got a great boy, Sammy. He's a mighty useful help since his mammy passed. Yeah, Sammy's my boy. Samuel Clemens Finn. Named him after an uncle. Actually, he's out hunting right now. Going to rustle us up, some squirrel or some snake or something that we could put in a stew. Well, all my manners, I'd be right pleasant to have you sitting for supper. I know we'll be having plenty. No, you are right. Living's a fast river. Fog too heavy to cut with a bucket knife. And this old raft of a body just ain't fit to the snacks and firewood. It ain't been easy. I was drinking better than Doc Cyrus himself. I was whooping Sammy too. When I weren't too drunk to be whooping, that is. His mama up and died, and us just starting out. Old Huck Finn running around and told her, I'll be true to say it. I reckon it was that preacher. Whatever he was, I was drunk enough to see double. Looked like there was 100 preachers. Anyhow, them preachers, they just sat to talk. They didn't talk like no preachers I see, until I see them. Now, they sat and listened right friendly. They talked right polite to be talking to an old sinner right in the thick of his drinking. I forgot. I was learning to read. And old Pat, he never let me read. So I just ignored it. Them preachers, they had that old Bible there. They had all the different stories about Moses and the bulrushers. There's Jesus on the mount. There was Saul on the road to Damascus. We just talked, read. And them preachers, they lit a fire. They gave Sammy some biscuits and some goat's milk. They were my comfortable company for a cold night. You know what? Before I knew it, I was reading. Old Huck Finn, reading the good book. And knowing how to read it. And knowing what's in it to read. Did you ever read it? I reckon what the good book says is about the best reading or your hankering to read there is. It's got history, poetry, and Moses, and the bulrushes. Ain't nobody spun a tale about the bulrushes like I heard. Now, they do say about feuding and murdering and cheating and slaving, but it don't ever say there's good things to do. I call them gospel preachers, preaching for slavers. Them abolitionists, they was preaching too. They was preaching from the other side of the Bible. Jesus, he came to free the slaves. Kind of like old Huck. Just like Moses. Letting them out of Egypt and enslaving children out of Israel, he run them free. Kind of like old Huck. That's what Jesus says. That's what Jesus says he was doing. Setting the captives free. And them bulrushes, they weren't nothing but a toehold on a riverbank. But it's all different from what preaching folks preaching. See, Jesus is lots different from what all them preachers folks were preaching. Jesus, he's for folk that ain't got nothing. Jesus is for folks who hanker to be good. And for folks that reckon they ain't got no luck left. Folks was thinking old Huck was slow to figure. I reckon I was slow to figure. Old Huck was figuring about all them preachers was figuring on. The good book was a figuring for. But my reckoner weren't reckoning straight. I reckon the good book, and I ain't chasing to reckon all the reckoning all the reckoners want to reckon. Reckon. Yes, I do find walking with the Lord quite pleasant. I just can't say what I ought to be saying. So I'll just be saying that the Lord can do all the saying he needs for himself. And if old Huck can read the good book and be ciphering what the Lord is saying, then I reckon any fool can reckon and decipher himself. Do you read the good book, stranger? I reckon the best truck I can pass on is to get you reading. Because I reckon you can cipher good as me. And I reckon the Lord can speak for himself.
Yes, it is a comfort when you walk with the Lord.
So, which way did old Huck turn out? Looks to me like it turned out both ways. He's a threat to go bad again before his turn on earth is done. As far as I can tell, with the exception of natural phenomena like hurricaning and earthquaking, God doesn't do much work on this earth unless he does it within the human heart. Now, that seems mighty inefficient to me. Dodging man and the devil twice, once to get out of your heart and again to get into mine. But I suppose if you're going to do any work on a steamboat, you have to start in the engine room. And if God were not to do his work on people, then he wouldn't have that much work to do around here. Old Huck seems to be convinced that God left us a note. Now all I see is a dusty book full of old, ancient stories about wars and miracles. Sometimes what a good book says, I suppose, has to do with who reads it. But one thing's for certain. A book can't say anything unless somebody reads it. Let's make a little wager. I'll wager you won't read the good book, nor my book neither, before Haley's Comet comes back around. Now if you do, send up a shout. We'll see if you find as much comfort there as your pastors imagine for Huckleberry Finn. I thank you for your time.
Goes. Now, you can sit down. In fact, you can shuffle through your purses and your wallets and see what you can come up with to encourage these young people in their upcoming mission trip. You know, we got another special event coming up next Saturday, and that's going to be our Superhero Saturday. It's going to happen from like 10 o'clock until 3 o'clock. We got some flyers that we're going to hand out on the topic to you. We want to be sure you all get a copy. We want to be sure you bring the whole family. We're going to, listen, I'm going to be in the dunk tank, okay? You can all give your money to my wife, and she'll be throwing, maybe she'll be a pretty good, come on up, Kevin. She'll be a pretty good thrower by the time that happens, okay? We're going to let Kevin tell you a little bit more about why we're collecting money for that. Kid musicians, come on up.
All right, here come the kids. Well, that was awesome, huh? That was pretty cool. So how many people in here are organ donors? You know? Organ donors.
Organ donors.
Organ donors.
Not the piano, the organ.
If it's on your driver's license? Okay. Well, that's a lot what this is about on Superhero Saturday. The superhero thing I kind of got from the fact, you know, that I believe that every one of us can be a hero. You know, there's heroes every day, and I've been blessed to have someone in my life be a hero and give me a kidney. My wife donated me a kidney back in 2004. You know, I want to say that I wouldn't be alive today if that didn't happen. I don't know. There's dialysis. There are other treatments, but there are a lot of other life-threatening illnesses that people get transplants for, and they wouldn't be alive today if it weren't for for the heroes in this world, the people that give of themselves for that one final act. And that's kind of what Superhero Saturday is about, is to raise awareness of organ donation. We're going to be talking about what the religious views are of organ donation of all the different religions, so you can get if you had any apprehension because of what you believe may not lend itself to that. But it's also about the fact that organ donation works, and I'm living proof of that. I was on death's door, and because of the gift of organ donation, I'm training for the 2010 Transplant Games, and that's what we're raising money for the National Kidney Foundation. All the proceeds are going to the National Kidney Foundation, Team Florida, for the U.S. Transplant Games that are going to be held in Madison, Wisconsin. And it's to help people who can't otherwise afford to go. And I got to tell you that, I've been to a number of transplant picnics and events like that, and it's been life-saving for me to know that I can be normal again. That I can have a life again, and that I can do things again, and to give that gift to someone else that is facing transplant or facing life-threatening illness, to know that they might have a chance a second chance in life. And it's not just laying in a hospital bed or being on disability the rest of your life or anything. There's going to be people. I'm going to be riding the 20K cycling event. People are going to be running and riding, and jumping, and it's all the stuff that normal people do. And I just hope that you can come out and support us and raise awareness for the desperate need for organ donation. I think it's 18 people a day die because of the lack of organs out there. And it doesn't have to be that way. One person can save 7 lives and affect 50 people's lives with their organs and their skin and their eyes and everything else. So please come out and join us. Thanks.
So that'll be next Saturday from 10 to 3. Church members, we need more volunteers for that as well. If you would please speak to Carol Ann Brown about that. These kids have been working hard on this play. There's been a lot of other kids working behind the scenes. We're grateful to that youth thing for all that you do, and they are self-supporting when it comes to this mission trip that's coming up. So, gentlemen, let's fill the horn section and get ready to play. Pass the plate. a wonderful job filling out the horn section. I think Jenna did a great job on the bass, as always. I think Zeke is a real monster on the drums. And I think Chicago Brothers must be the most hillbilly redneck thing I've ever seen in my life. But Houston, we have a problem. The food is not quite ready. And I'm not going to bless the food until it is fit to eat. Now, it will be very fit. We have two of our best chefs. And not to say that the rest of you aren't great. You're all wonderful.